Hello everybody, this is Pastor Green. We're doing another Bible study, Exodus chapter 12. If you'd like me to come speak at your church, or if you have any questions, you can email me, godsohman@gmail.com. Exodus chapter 12, starting with verse 1. And the Lord spoke unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. This shall be the first month of the year to you. And this month is usually April, March, depending on how it fits on the calendar. You have to understand that in use right now, there's 40 different calendars. And this is according to a recent estimate. There are about 40 calendars used in the world today, particularly for determining religious dates. Most modern countries use the Gregorian calendar for their official activities. The Westerners should keep in mind that there are indeed several calendars actively in use. And this says right here how many types of calendars in the world. And this is Wexhibit says there are approximately 40 calendars worldwide. All these calendars can be categorized into three types, namely the lunisolar, the solar, and the lunar calendar. Nonetheless, the most known calendars worldwide are the Gregorian, the Islamic, and the Chinese calendars. So if you look right here, this is just a couple different calendars. There's the Julian calendar, there's the Hebrew calendar, the Islamic calendar, the Persian calendar, the Mayan calendar, and the Chinese calendar. And I just recently found out there's another calendar called the Ethiopian calendar, I believe. And that's kind of weird because they actually have 13 months. So in 2022, it's actually, I believe, 2014 or 2015 on their calendar, which I find that very interesting as well. Exodus 12. Speak unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of their souls. Every man according to his eating shall take you an account for their lamb. I always find it interesting. This is if the house is too little for the lamb. It's never if the lamb's too little for the house. It's always if the house is too little for the lamb. So if you have too big of a lamb, then two houses are going to share this lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. And in the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. So you're going to basically have a lamb. You're going to pick it out within its first year. Then you're going to watch it. You're going to watch it until the 14th day of the month. Then you're going to make sure that it has no spot or blemish. Then you're going to kill it on the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door posts of the house, wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, and bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat none of it raw, nor sodden all with water, but roast it with fire, its head with its legs, and the pertinence thereof. And ye shall let none of it remain until the morning. That shall remain until the morning shall be burnt with fire. So they're pretty much saying, you don't even butcher this thing. You stick it on the fire whole. The pertinence is basically the organs. You're going to put it on there whole, roasting it with fire. You're not going to boil it. This is going to be something that's going to happen very, very fast. You're going to cook it fast. You're going to eat it. You're going to be ready. In the morning, something's going to happen. And thou shalt eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And thou shalt eat it with haste. This is the Lord's Passover. So they're saying you're going to eat it with your shoes on, your clothes on, your walking staff ready to go. This is going to be a quick event. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and I will smite the firstborn of the land of Egypt, both male and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment, for I am the Lord. So by doing this, by killing the firstborn of every person and beast, this is the last god of Egypt that God's going to destroy. And it says, I went against all the gods of Egypt now. After this, I fought all their gods, and I'm showing you that I am the true God. And the blood shall be with you a token upon thy house where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. So God's telling his people, you put this blood on your door, and I'm going to know that you guys are an Israelite, you guys are a Jew, and I'm going to pass over your house, so nobody in your house is going to be harmed. But if any house that doesn't have this blood on there, I'm going to kill the firstborn. And this day shall be unto you a memorial. You shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by ordinance forever. So it's saying you're gonna remember this for the rest of your life, and every year you're gonna have a feast because of this. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. Even the first day shall you put away leaven under your house. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day unto the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And on the first day thou shalt be a holy convocation, and on the 7th day thou shalt be a holy convocation to you. No matter of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done to. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for this is the same 7th day I have brought you armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall you observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. So you're always going to do this. You're going to have the feast of bread. You're going to have the Passover. It's going to happen every year. In the first month, on the 14th day of that month at even, you shall eat unleavened bread, until the 21st day of the month at even. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your house. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that shall be called cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether it be a stranger or born in the land. And the reason why you're eating unleavened bread is because this is supposed to be a quick thing. You're supposed to cook something fast. So, leaven you got to let sit, and you have to let it leaven or let it rise. This is supposed to be a fast thing. You're going to make it fast, you're going to cook it fast, you're going to eat it fast. 1 Corinthians 5:6 says, Your glorying is not good. Know ye not that little leaven leaveneth the whole lump? So they're basically saying that, when somebody does something bad and it gets in there, it's going to ruin everything. Galatians 5:9, a little leaven leavens the whole lump. Back to Exodus 12:20. Ye shall eat nothing leavened, and all your habitation shall you eat unleavened bread. Then Moses called for the elders of Israel, and said unto them, Draw out and take your lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop, and dip it in blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 side posts with the blood that is the basin. And none of you shall go out of the door into his house until morning. So you're going to put this blood on your door. You're going to put it on the top and on the sides. And I'll show you in one video. It'll be at the very end, my Easter video. You're going to show that when you actually do that, you're going to make the cross. For the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians. And when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and upon the 2 side posts, the Lord will pass over the door. And I will not suffer the destroyer to come to your house and smite you. So you got to make sure you put this blood on the door. That way the angel of death is going to go past you, and you're not going to be affected by this firstborn killing. So this angel is going to come through. If they see the blood, they're not going to go in the house. If they don't see the blood, the firstborns are going to die. There's a song, it's a gospel song. It says, Christ our Redeemer died on the cross, died for the sinners, paid in his due. Sprinkle your soul with the blood of the Lamb, and I will pass over you. When I see the blood, when I see the blood, when I see the blood, I will pass over you. Exodus 12:24. And ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee, and to thy sons forever. And it shall come to pass, when ye be come to the land which the Lord will give you, according to he has promised, he shall keep his service. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, What mean ye by this service? Ye shall say, It is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who passed over the house of the children of Israel in Egypt. And when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses, and the people bowed their heads and worshipped. And the children of Israel went away, and did as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. So did they. And it came to pass at the midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of the Pharaoh that sat at his throne, unto the firstborn of the captive which was in a dungeon, and all the firstborn of the cattle. So if they had the blood on their posts, they were fine. If they didn't, the firstborn of the house died. And the Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all of his servants, and all the Egyptians, and all there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night, and said, Rise up, and get you forth among your people, both ye and your children of Israel, and go, serve the Lord as ye have said. Also take your flocks and your herds, you have also said, and be gone, and bless me also. So the Pharaoh saying, I've had enough of this, you guys are trouble, you've costed me everything, my livestock, my family, my friends, everything. You even killed my firstborn. Get out of here. Take your herd, take your family, take everything. And then he adds in the end, and bless me also. So maybe he realizes that the Israelites' gods are better than his gods. And the Egyptians were urgent among the people that they might send them out of the land of no haste, for they said, we be all dead men. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their knee troughs being bound up and their clothes on their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiments. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. So they lent them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot, that were men besides children. So there was 600,000 just men. It doesn't include children. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, and even very much cattle. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelled in Egypt was 430 years. And if you look in Genesis, you're going to talk about how you're a stranger in a land that is not theirs, all throughout Genesis. This right here says in Acts 13, but when they departed from Perga, they came to Antioch. And when they went to the synagogue on the Sabbath day and sat down, and after reading the law and the prophets and the rulers of the synagogue, sent unto them, saying, Ye men and brethren, if ye have any word of exhortation for the people, say on. And then Paul stood up and beckoned with his hand and said, Men of Israel, and ye fear God, give audience. The men of the people of Israel chose our fathers, and exalted the people when they dwelt as strangers in the land of Egypt, and with a high arm brought he out of it. Back to Exodus 12, verse 41. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the same self day, it came to pass, and all the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. Genesis 15:13 says, And it said unto Abram, Know surely that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. But people ask all the time, well, hold on. Exodus says 430, and Genesis says 400. Which one's right? So if you go to Galatians 3:16, it says, And now to Abraham and his seed were the promise made. He saith not, And to thy seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed which is Christ. And to this I say unto the covenant that was confirmed before the God of Christ, the law, that it was 430 years after. Back to Genesis 15. It says, And they said unto Abraham, Know thou surely that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Genesis 21. And the children grew, and it was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which she had borne unto Abraham, mocking. Genesis 15:13. And when she said unto Abraham, Know surely that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. So it mentions in Exodus and Galatians that they're there for 430, and in Genesis 400 years. And this started with the time that Abraham got to Egypt. So Abraham got to Egypt, and it was about 30 years. Isaac was weaned, and then for 400 years they were in the land. So they were afflicted. They were afflicted for 400 years, but they lived in that land for 430 years. And that's where the contradiction possibly comes out. Even though it was not a contradiction. It says they were mistreated. They were afflicted for 400 years. But it says they lived there for 430 years. There's actually an article here that says, How long were the Israelites in Egypt? And this one's saying that if you look at when Abraham revealed his promise, all the way to the Israelites arriving in Egypt is 215 years. So it says the sojourn in Egypt begins with the call of Abraham and God's promise to him. And it ends with the Exodus. That is, the fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, sojourned in Canaan for 215 years. And then their descendants lived in Egyptian bondage for an additional 215 years. In total, then, it would result in 430 years, as the number listed in Exodus and Galatians. Exodus 12:42. It is a night to be much observed unto the Lord for bringing them out of the land of Egypt. This is the night of the Lord that observed all the children of Israel, their generations. And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, This is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall be no stranger eat thereof, but every man's servant that is brought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then he shall eat thereof. So he's saying that every Egyptian or every Israelite is going to remember this Passover, but you don't let any strangers eat the Passover. But once you circumcise them and they become part of the family, then they can absorb the Passover. And a foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. In one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth out the flesh abroad to the house, neither shall they break the bone thereof. So again, you have to just cook it whole. Don't break any bones. Don't get rid of the organs. You just cook it whole. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and he will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. They shall be as one as the born of the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. So he's saying that no stranger is allowed to do it, but once they become a part of the Israelites, they're allowed to be part of the Passover. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that is sojourn among you. Thus did all the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass at the same self day, that the Lord did brought the children out of Israel, the land of Egypt, by their armies. This is an article here. It says, Plagues then and now, blood frogs and locusts are no match. It says, every year during Passover, the Jews get together for a ritual feast meal, the Seder, and recount the Exodus, which is when their enslaved ancestors left Egypt. Part of this story involves the telling of the 10 plagues, which the Lord brought the Egyptians. And this is a typical Seder. It's a bunch of different kind of meats and stuff like that. And it says here that it's on the 14th day of Nisan of the Hebrew calendar. So in 2019, that was on April 20th. And in 2018, that was on March the 31st. And basically the idea is to retell the story of the Exodus. And of course 2020, it was on April the 9th. Anyways, guys, that's the video. If you'd like me to come speak at your church, or if you have any questions, you can email me. You can also comment below. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. I'm going to have in the bottom right hand corner the Exodus Bible study. And then over there on the left hand side, there's going to be probably the should a Christian celebrate Easter. And that's going to go a little bit more into detail about what we talked about today. Hope you guys liked the video. Have a great day.